How dare you lay a finger on Madame Gloria? You crossed the line. The elderly servants standing around were taken aback when they saw that Gloria had been slapped. Enraged, they flung themselves at Dustin and attacked him. A bunch of rude bitches. Dustin's expression hardened, and he slapped the elderly servants out of his way without a word. Some fainted on the spot, some were bleeding from their noses and mouths, and some lost their teeth. Within a blink of an eye, those who assaulted Dahlia were lying on the floor, immobile. Dustin Rhys, how dare you hit us? You're asking for trouble. Dakota stood up, albeit staggering, with a look of menace and resentment on her face. She was the daughter of a wealthy family, and her grandma was one of the heads of the Nicholson family. A good-for-nothing like Dustin had beaten them up. He clearly didn't know his place. Not only am I beating you up, but I will also cripple you. Dustin gave Dakota a heavy kick in the abdomen, sending her flying in the air into a wall, screaming in pain and bleeding from the mouth. You animal. You're dead meat. Your entire family is in deep shit. How dare you hurt the Nicholsons? We'll make you pay for that. Gloria, who got up from the floor, hissed evilly at Dustin. No one had the audacity to lay a finger on her eye in many years. This young man had some balls. Make me pay. Oh, you don't have the right to. He slapped her on the face again, and this time, her nose and mouth were hit, and even her fake tooth fell off. Almost instantly, she started convulsing and foaming at the mouth. Dustin, don't hurt them. Seeing that, Dahlia jumped in to stop him. She was worried that he might accidentally kill Madame Gloria in a fit. How are you feeling? Dustin reined in his temper and helped her up from the floor. I only suffered from a few external injuries. It's nothing. She forced a smile at him. Your face is swollen. How is this nothing? Frowning, he looked sulky, and the more he thought about the situation, the angrier he became, knowing they had been taken advantage of. His temper rose, and he stomped hard on Dakota's face. Her decent-looking face was instantly horrifically ruined and bruised. Dustin finally felt satisfied and pleased after taking the appropriate revenge. I didn't know you were so vindictive. Although Dahlia was speechless at the scene, she couldn't help but feel joy in her heart. It felt good to have someone avenging her. If you don't teach these rude bitches a lesson, they will never learn. He looked cross. Beating Dakota up is fine. But you also beat up the elderly, Madame Gloria. I'm worried that we can't get ourselves out of this. After the initial joy, she was burdened by new worries. I don't care. If they want revenge, they can come at me. Dustin sounded fearless. She's an insolent and disrespectful old hag. If I didn't slap her today, she would have really thought she was above everyone else. With that, he took the check from Gloria's pocket and left the villa with Dahlia. Soon after, Gloria stirred awake, still lying on the ground. She was greeted by the mess in the room. Touching her swollen and red face, she bellowed with eyes bulging from anger, "That animal. I will tear both of them into pieces." Next, she called a number on her phone. "Hey, get Tarragon and Cougar here. We're executing the house law." When they got back to the peaceful medical center, Dustin immediately took out a tube of medication that he started applying to Dahlia's skin. Dakota and the elderly servants did not go easy on Dahlia at all. The poor victim was covered in bruises on her face, limbs, and across her body. He dared not imagine the outcome had he not intervened in time. "Dahlia, do you want to learn a few moves from me? At least, you'll have some skills to defend yourself if you ever run into this kind of situation," Dustin suggested while applying the ointment. Her fair skin was as soft as silk to the touch. "I'm not interested in fighting and killing. And I have you to protect me." She smiled at him softly. In her opinion, one could not solve problems with violence. That would only lead to more trouble. At the end of the day, an individual would only be powerful because of his or her connections and influence, not their martial arts skills. Many of the big bosses were bad at fighting, but their existence was enough to stop anyone from stirring up trouble. The top dogs garnered respect because of their reputation and influence. "I'd rather rely on myself. I am only truly strong because I train myself to be." He shook his head. "Take off your clothes. I need to apply the medication to your back." Her expression froze with awkwardness. Maybe get Caitlin to help out on this. She's out getting groceries. I'm not asking you to strip naked. Why do you make it sound like I'm taking advantage of you? He rolled his eyes at her. Okay then. She pursed her lips and slowly took off her top to display the lovely curves of her back. Her milky skin was a sight to behold, a rare beauty indeed. Dustin regained his composure and applied the medication to the bruises on her back. Then, he gave her a slow and soft massage. Ouch! He seemed to have touched a sore area as she frowned and inhaled deeply. Just bear with it. I'll be done in a while. During the massage, he channeled some internal energy to clear up the blood clots. Soon, she felt the pain in her back go away, and her body was basking in a comfortable and warm sensation. Dear, I'm here. They heard a sing-song voice from the entrance. In the next moment, they found themselves staring blankly at Natasha and Caitlin, who were standing quietly at the door with the fresh groceries in their hands. I saw nothing. Caitlin covered her face and turned around, her cheeks flushed in embarrassment. What are you doing? Natasha's expression hardened, and her eyes filled with accusation. She was looking at a man and a woman in a room. The woman was stripped down to her undergarments, and the man was running his hand all over her. It looked suspicious no matter what. Please ignore that. Dahlia has been injured, and I was applying SOMI medication for her, Dustin hastily explained himself, but he felt oddly guilty in doing so. Applying medication? Natasha was green in envy as she scanned Dahlia from head to toe. And does she need to take off her clothes for that? Do you need to sit close to each other? Look at you can't even take your hands off her. Hey! Dustin turned around and saw his hands on Dahlia, and he immediately retracted his hands in shock. He believed his intention was pure, but why did he feel guilty after Natasha's interrogation? Caitlin, come take a look. I look like the bad guy now, don't I? Natasha asked with a straight face. What? What's going on? Caitlin was taken aback and baffled. Can't you see? I've become a Kukwien. Natasha crossed her arms over her chest and scoffed. Me. Dustin Rhys, why don't you change your name instead? You should call yourself Don Juan.